The interesting thing about your mind is that it is the most powerful weapon in the world. And that powerful weapon can either work fully against you or it can work fully for you. And that all comes down to actually harnessing the capacity, right? Because you could harness it towards a positive valence or a negative one. And when you become more coherent of aligning your thoughts to your actions, your behaviors, your identity, when these things are in congruence with each other, the deadliness, right, the sharpness, the power of your mind amplifies like a fucking nuclear bomb in the positive valence. But when you're scattered, when you're fragmented, right, when your actions are fragmented from your thoughts, from your behaviors, from how you actually live day to day, and from your actual identity, who you believe yourself to be, right, the disparity between, say, what you want and who you are and what you do and what you think, when those are in huge conflict with each other, you're literally just working against yourself all of the time because nothing is coherent, right? The signal is a bunch of noise. It's like 3 different signals and wavelengths trying to interfere with each other rather than just, if all of the signals are working together, I'm trying to make it flow together, right? I found a good topic. I want to talk about building an online presence as an introverted, and then if you want to add on top of that, anxious, invisible kid, right? That identity of self-overcoming. That in itself is quite an achievement because I don't think I am the personality type who was meant to put myself out there, just fully out there like I am doing now. And sometimes it scares me. I'm like, why are you being so yourself, dude? Like, maybe put on a mask, maybe play a character, maybe like, you know how some people online, I'm the expert in fat loss, or I'm a bodybuilder, I'm a vlogger. But I'm like, I don't want any of those identities. I just want to be me. And now that we're talking about it, I think this is what the crux of this series is about. Radical authenticity, radical self-acceptance, radical freedom. Because what that gives you is a sort of creative and spiritual and emotional and psychological freedom that apparently not many people value, or they don't know that they value, because frankly, I barely ever see anyone who doesn't have some kind of like crafted persona online. Personally, I feel like it's very rare to just get the person in their fullness and rawness. And I might be the first one to do it. I know I'm not the first one to do it. But I think this is the best way I can create value for you if you're listening here today. Welcome back to episode 3 of Reality Architecture. I'm your host, Cyrus Yang. It's weird for me to even say that. I have to stop making it weird for me to say that. Because you realize you can do anything you fucking want. And it's literally you thinking, but I can't do that. But she think of me. And everybody who think I fail. What if I do fail? And do you see? So when you're watching, when you're listening, right? You can totally listen to this, by the way, when you're driving or doing something. You don't necessarily have to look at my pretty face. I want this series to be a mirror for you, dear listener, dear friend. I want this series to be a mirror for you, to reflect back to you yourself. Because me and you are not that different. You know, we may look different, we may lead completely different lives, but I do believe at a fundamental level, there are patterns to human psychology that are pretty thematic. You know, they follow patterns kind of reliably. As somebody who is introverted, I want to make clear, be very careful with the labels, right? Words at the end of the day are just noises coming out of my mouth. Ooga booga luga, suckle my nut, boo. What did I just say? A whole bunch of fucking bullshit. But when we put these labels on ourselves, like introvert or whatever label you want to put on yourself, right? How do you control people? Do you know how you mind control the masses? You put labels on them. Because if they believe, oh, I'm an employee. I make a salary. You see, when you keep someone stuck in a set of words, they become beliefs about themselves. And those beliefs become very hard to break. I'm introverted. I'm afraid of people. I'm not saying like words are a useful tool to understand, you know, what is going on inside of your thoughts. But the mistake is when we become attached to the meaning of those words. To speak, we have to categorize ourselves. We have to put labels on ourselves. The trap, right? The dangerous part is when we are not aware of the labels that we are associating our identity with. When we're not aware of it, it controls our life. It controls our life without us ever knowing it, right? It goes down to the level of self-doubt that's so deep and that it threatens our worldview when, let's say, we see somebody we know break out of that box, right? Why is it so common that when you're an outlier in a circle of people who are following the non-outlier way of thinking and way of life, why is it that they feel threatened? It's almost like they try to pull you back, right? It's like crabs in a bucket. When you try to escape, they'll try to pull you back down into the bucket. It's because we don't like the feeling, it's deeply uncomfortable, of potentially realizing that our worldview is an illusion. It's easy to confine your mind inside of a box. And this box you might call your worldview, right? Your set of beliefs about what the world is, how it is, what you are, who you are, how you are. And when you categorize all of reality within this box, it is deeply threatening to, let's say, witness somebody you know, or maybe you might be the person to whom other people are witnessing. This box, watching someone walk right out. Walking out of this invisible prison that we might call simply the Matrix. This is a matrix. What a lot of people kind of don't realize is that you're stuck in a matrix no matter what. The matrix is not out there. It's not out here. The matrix is your internal world. It's a box inside of your mind, a set of boundaries, limitations, of censorship, of behaviors, of thoughts, of beliefs. When we watch, when we witness somebody who breaks those acceptable patterns of behaviors, thoughts, actions, beliefs, we get triggered and try to pull them back down into the bucket. This vortex is probably the hardest thing to escape, at least initially, because the hard part is that you need to achieve escape velocity. Once you reach escape velocity, you're out of the threshold, you're out of the field of gravity. Then you're out, right? Then it becomes just maintaining the momentum to, let's say, not fall back in. When you think independently, when you act independently, not to please others, not to be somebody who you're not, when you do that, you are building yourself escape velocity, right? And let's say to the degree you do that is also the speed at which you're breaking out or have broken out. I am of the belief that the more you become yourself, the better everything gets. You can have anything you want in life if you break through the limitations you have put on yourself of why you can't have it. You know, a lot of the times we're blocked by something that we're not even aware of. The hard part of this entire journey is to come to the awareness of what we're blocked by. And a lot of the times, right, because a lot of times we are so blind of our own blind spots, we have to, we meet someone, lucky us, that points it out to us. And in a moment of epiphany, you're like, holy shit, I never thought about that. And I'll be completely honest with you. It's like, it is a little weird building an online presence as an introvert, especially the kind where I'm not like trying to be someone or play this, persona of a brand that I help you scale to $10,000 a month. Right, of just being myself, you getting me, right? But interesting enough, maybe I'll attract similar personality types. I'm an INFP, so if you're that, let me know. I did a bit of research on it, and it's actually the rarest personality trait for a male. It's, I believe, 2% in the general population, but it's only 1% in males. Whereas there's like a flip side of that. INTP is the rarest personality trait in females. I think it's also around 2% across both, like in total, but it's only 1% of females. So it goes to show you, men are thinking oriented, men are more logical, right, rational, and women are more feeling, emotions based processing of the world. I just happen to be lucky enough as a man to be in tune with, let's say, the inner world, right? The inner world speaks a language that is kind of foreign to a lot of people. Their emotions just arise, and there's like, next thing you know, anger casts a spell on them, and they, I don't know, break the dishes and just lose control of themselves. I also want to give a space, I guess, through this to acknowledge, because I know this is something that introverts struggle with, is being in your head, right? Because you're internally tuned, you are always in your head. You practically live in your head, right? And it's like, well, the question is, do we ever not live in our head? Well, I mean, there are moments like that, right? I'll give you an example when you're working out, right? Fully in the zone, just one with the fucking weight, or you're doing some physical activity. It could driving when you're really in the moment, right? Um, snowboarding, cycling, hiking, any kind of physical activity, right? Brings you out of your mind and into your body. And for me personally, right, as somebody who used to just like not know what to do with my thoughts because it would just spiral into anxiety and these death loops of overthinking and paralysis and anxiety. And the biggest thing I would say in terms of like physical action is physical action, physical activity, picking up some form of consistent thing that you do with your body, right? For me, that's lifting. And now I'm preparing for Ironman, so, running, cycling, swimming. So if you're somebody who finds themselves very internally oriented, but that same internal orientation kind of like just drives you absolutely fucking nuts sometimes because you can't get out of your fucking head. And if you're not doing some form of consistent activity, I highly, highly, highly encourage you pick it up. Let me know if you want me to record and talk about something related to fitness, lifting. I'd be more than happy to do that because I've been lifting for 10 years now. I'm a certified personal trainer. I've been a trainer for 3, 4, 5 years. I don't even know how many years at this point. I think 5 or 4. Anyway, I have a sports science degree from one of the top schools in the world, which is pretty meaningless to me. So I'm not even going to like try to dazzle you with that statement because to me, I'm just like, dude, you'll see. I think the system, a lot of things in the system is fucking just broken, dude. Healthcare is pretty broken. And that's also why I kind of just left the field. Because it's not about health at the end of the day. It's about managing sick because the baseline of people is so low. The baseline of people's health, people's bodies is so low that all we can manage to do is manage their disease rather than teach them how to thrive. And, among my missions, this is one of my core missions. So it's something I'm really passionate about. So leave a comment if you want me to, in regards to the topic of using exercise, using the gym to help you with your anxiety and to alleviate your mind and calm your stress and to regulate yourself. The other thing with being introverted, I find, right, these are patterns that I notice, and you can kind of reflect for yourself whether it feels true for you, right? Of course, patterns are patterns, but everyone is an individual, right? The other pattern I notice is that, right, the introverted men, and I guess women, if there are women watching this, I think my channel is more geared towards men. But, especially if you're an introverted guy, you know, who thinks a lot of times you might find that you actually kind of struggle to translate these thoughts and ideas into tangible action, right? Because the introversion, the inward tendency, kind of it gets you so good at being inside your internal world, but then when it comes to externalizing it, it can sometimes, a lot of the times, potentially be a huge struggle. I know for me personally, I struggle with that really bad, you know, for a long time. I kind of just recorded this episode on a whim with not really any preparation, but leave a comment. Definitely let me know, what is something I mentioned in here you want to deep dive on. I kind of gave you an overview of a bunch of different topics, and perhaps that's the beautiful thing about reality architecture, about this thing that we're building. Your mind is not separate from your body is not separate from your mind, it's not separate from your identity, your beliefs, your how you show up to the world, thoughts, beliefs, assumptions, behaviors, actions, right? It's all about coherency. Nevertheless, I genuinely hope you did find value in this video, and you let me know how I can dive deeper into something that you're currently fascinated by. And I'll see what I can do. Thanks for joining me on this one. It's close to bedtime for me. Sleep early, wake up early, go live your life, love yourself. Peace out. See you in the next one.